Welcome back to part 2 of my conversation with Hope Lemansky. Now, if you haven't listened to part 1 yet, then this is a case where you probably want to pause and just go ahead and jump back to the episode right before this one so everything makes sense. Otherwise, the beginning of this episode might feel a little bit abrupt. But, as weird as a question about waxing your ribs felt in the moment, well, that one question wound up spiraling into a far bigger conversation. And like I said, if you haven't listened to part 1, this will make a lot more sense once you do. But here's the thing, that question wound up actually being about, obviously, maybe, taking care of your tools. But taking care of your tools is really about taking care of your creative practice. And taking care of your creative practice means making strategic decisions about where you invest your time, where you invest your energy, and yes, of course, where you invest your money. So, what does it actually look like to build a creative career where you're not beholden to any single platform, in any single partnership, or even any single business model? What happens when you realize that the same social media platform that can be both a place of genuine connection for you with other makers can also be a soul-sucking doom scroll? And perhaps more importantly, what happens when you realize that you actually get to choose which of those things you engage with? How do you navigate the pressure to go full-time with the thing that you might very well be the most well-known for when you realize it's not actually what you want to do full-time? In this second part of our conversation, Hope and I dig into the realities of pragmatic things like brand partnerships and how those work, and why she loves being able to say no. We also talk about the mental shift that happens when you stop comparing yourself to others and start asking what you really want, and why she intentionally built not one, not two, and not three, but 4 jobs to be viable on their own by themselves before deciding to actually stick with all of them. We also get honest about the volatility of building a business on platforms that you frankly do not control, the hidden complexities of self-employment that go way beyond being able to make pots all day, or not, spoiler, and why sometimes the most sustainable path forward isn't just one path. Whether you're struggling with comparison, wondering if you should pursue influencer work, or questioning whether having multiple income streams means nothing is actually working well, Hope's experience offers both practical insight and permission to build your creative career on your own terms. So let's jump back into all of it after this quick word from our sponsor. This episode is sponsored by The Community, your creative business support system with over 100 makers from around the world. With both the practical education you need to make a living from the things you make, found in our masterclasses on topics like finances, marketing, and SEO, plus the emotional support of fellow makers who truly understand what it's like to try and make a living from the things we make. It's like having both a business school designed specifically for artists and a team of colleagues who actually get what you're going through. But you don't have to take my word for it.
Hello, podcast listeners. My name is Bill Schwenzer, also known as the Alive Guy from Alive Guy Pottery. I am a Maker's Playbook community member hailing from Central Florida. I'm a full-time potter and ceramics enthusiast. I wanted to take a minute of your time to express how much the community has enriched my creative lifestyle. The business and moral support, along with the boundless encouragement, is truly priceless to me. You can find me at AliveGuy_pottery on Instagram or Bill Schwenzer on Facebook. I would be happy to tell you more about it and how fun the weekly hangouts are with the Claymunity crew.
Now, on with the show. Welcome to the Maker's Playbook, the show where we talk all about what it's really like to make a living from the things you make. I'm your host, seasoned entrepreneur of 14 years, Rebecca Ikes Cara. How much time is spent? This is a weird phrases I never thought I would say in my life. Waxing your ribs?
Oh, not that often, actually. Yeah. You should be waxing your ribs, by the way. This is one of my random hot takes that I have. I won't derail us too much further, but like, you should be waxing your ribs. Take care of your tools, people. I feel like we don't talk about tool care enough.
I mean, when you frame it as taking care of your tools, my brain is like, "Yes, okay, I can get behind that." Like,
Mhm.
the more we take care of our stuff, the longer it lasts. Like, let's not just dive down consumerism again and
Yep.
again and again. So now I'm like, "Okay, fine, yes." But when I first saw you post, I was like, "You're
Oh,
doing
yeah.
what now?"
Yeah. No, people think I'm really insane. And then I'm like, it's like having a really good cutting board. It's the same thing, right? We really want to take care of our things. And what I've loved about the rib wall the most is just like it's such a source of inspiration for me because like you look and there's so many shapes and tools and things you can pick from, so having it look good helps me genuinely make more work because like I feel inspired by looking at it. So I want them to be nice and I want them to last a really long time.
This is again the beautiful thing about our friendship is that when you do something that I think is absolutely insane, then you describe it to me for the reasons of which I'm like, "Ah, see? Now it makes sense to me." Because, like, Francesco and I joke that we somehow were lucky enough to find another potter who cleans, because there have been some studios we have stepped into that I'm just like, "Oh, dear God." Like,
Mhm.
I feel physically uncomfortable. This wheel has not been cleaned in 20 years or more. And both of us, I wouldn't say we're neurotic, but we are clean potters. Maybe friends would say. We'll see. We'll let the we'll let the populace chime in on that. But we're definitely on the cleaner side. And as soon as you describe having a rib wall to be something that like gives you the mental space to like see the options and think about it, that is for me a clean studio. Like I don't wanna come back with a catch pan full of dried up slop because then, like, to create something in that is not like, I do need that physically clean space to have, like, the clean mind, if you will.
And this interaction is exactly what I'm talking about, where social media is a way to form connections. Like we just connected. You thought I was insane for waxing my ribs. I explained my methodology behind it. And you're like, yes, this makes sense now. I get it. Those kinds of connections are finicky in comment sections. Like you
Mm.
just don't get that. And I think some people, I've really determined, I think some people are more built for social media than others. I don't think I'm naturally built for that. It has taken a lot of work to try to get used to it. And even then, I struggle with a lot of things, but it can be such a tool for us to have these kinds of conversations. You just don't always see that in comment sections because it's just not structured that way. We're supposed to be in and out and fast and move on to the next.
Or something gets promoted by whatever algorithm, like, like, I can't control which comment gets shown first,
Yes.
always. Like, you can pin something, but then, like, after that, you can't control it. We are wired in a way or social media has made us wired to, like, respond the fastest to the thing that we find the most absurd or the most frustrating or, like, all these negative energies.
Mhm.
And this is something I've had to come to terms with in the last year as well in terms of like, I am going to hold on to my value that I am here to provide nuance. Like, that is the reason I started this, if I had to describe it in one word,
I love that.
is nuance. And because of that, if I'm going to say, right, this is the flag I am planting in the ground, this is what I'm here for, because of that, I have to come to terms with the fact that a lot of time I will only have so much reach on the internet. Because I could take some of the conversations we've had on the podcast over the last 4 or 5 years and splice out little sections and post those, and I am sure the reach, the following, all of these numbers would be drastically different. But it wouldn't
Yep.
be capturing the nuance of whatever somebody said 5 seconds later, and I see it happening more and more with podcasts, I see it happening with new podcasts in the pottery world, obviously outside of the pottery world, but when I see it happen in the pottery world, I'm like, "Mm, don't do it. No." Like, and I get it. I understand the business move. I just don't like it. I just have to accept that because that's not the game that I'm willing to play. But yep.
I feel the same. I know some people that love interacting with comments that I would deem negative. And getting back to them and having replies is something that they like to do. We know that drives engagement because it quite literally is the definition of engagement. You're engaging with more people. I can't. That's not for me. Doesn't work for me. Doesn't make me happy. Doesn't do good things for me. And so I don't interact with them. And I know that, gosh, like for a while, I wished I could do that, but it's just not me. It's just not me. I can't do it.
Yep. And it sucks because, like, you'll see other people and we know these are all vanity numbers, right? I know that they don't matter. Like, I know that I can build a sustainable business without needing 50,000 followers because I have run my numbers and I know, like, my goal, even with the community, for example, is not to build an online place full of thousands of potters, right? If you want to
Mhm.
go to a place with thousands of potters and endless resources, ceramic school is great for that. Like, it exists. That's amazing.
Right. Right.
It is not what we're doing whatsoever.
Yeah.
My, like, dream number is 200.
Mhm.
That's not big in the world of the internet
Yeah.
whatsoever. But that's my dream number because it's like because of a lot of things, and we can talk about it. It's so frustrating when you are trying to actively grow and get to a place that is sustainable when you see other people, like, flying off into endless numbers land because of tactics that I'm like, "Ugh." Like, "Do I have
Yeah.
to? Is this how this is gonna work?" Like, "No, no, 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 no. Let me stay
Yeah.
here."
Yeah.
So
No, I get it. And this is all not to say too, like there are people that are wildly successful with just doing their own thing who are not following these kinds of things too. I would say like Florian Gatsby is the biggest one that always comes to mind. Like he is creating his own top tier content that feels niche to him. It feels specific to him and like it's working, in a very
even
positive way too.
I'm also thinking of Kurt Hammerly, Sarah Pike, Old Forge, Joe at Old Forge Creations, like, all of
There's
these
so
places.
many. Sarah
Yes.
Anderson is another really good one. Sarah Anderson Ceramics. She just started her own pottery studio.
Yep.
She posts a lot.
Yep. Okay, there's hope for us. Those of us who
There
want
is.
to be nuanced, positive, and not play the game. We can do this. However, speaking of the game, it comes from Bill at Alive Guy Pottery. So, with all best of intentions, he was wondering if you would be up for talking more about your sponsorship and affiliate deals with suppliers. Like, if you actively seek them out, if you get approached more, if it has changed over time, that's my addition. You know, how all of that works because I do think there's definitely attraction in that for many potters out there.
Yeah, for sure. I am more than happy to talk about it. I would say that another reason why I've decided I never want to do social media full time is because I love saying no. And saying no in the social media, like influencing spectrum, is very important, I think. And I realized that whenever I came to the place where I could do it full time, yes, you're going to get offers that are great, where you're like, I love the products, I love the thing, the offer's good, let's go. This is perfect partnership. But once you're relying on that solely for your income, we would all be lying if we weren't saying you're going to start to feel more tempted to say yes to things that maybe you don't want to, or really be like, well, is it a big pro con, And I never want to do that. I love getting to say no. I say no quite often now. And I think it's one of the things that makes me still really enjoy doing sponsorships because I really do only take on ones that I actually am fully on board with, that I really like, that I think are a good fit for me. Clay King has been my longest partner I think that I've had when it comes to social media. And what I love about them is they did approach me about it. And the way that it works is I'll do a sponsored video, but it's on literally whatever I want it to be on. They have never given me any creative directive. They've never told me, hey, can you talk about this specific tool? We need you to review this one. It's not that kind of thing. Now, they will tell me like a product is launching. If you'd like to talk about it, this is something new that's upcoming. So I get insights like that. But it is so much whatever I want. And it's because I give credit to Will as I think his proper title is director of social media, but I could be wrong. I know he wears a
It
lot of
feels
hats.
right.
It feels right. Yes. You
It
know,
is
he
now. If it wasn't his title before, it's definitely gonna be now.
exactly.
Unless it's a
He's
demotion, then we want Will to stay where he is, just to be clear.
yes, I want Will to wear the hats he wants to wear. I know him through the social media hat primarily. So, with that in mind, but he knows that the best promotions work when it's a product that you really want to promote. So, he has totally understood that it's important that I am reviewing things that I like to review. So, they've been one of my favorite people to work with long term because they just get it. They just get it. I'm not being pinholed into something that I'm not comfortable with or that I don't fully back. But again, that's why I like having the other jobs is because it does allow me to say no. And I do say no pretty often to things. Or I'll say, hey, can you let me try it? And then I'll get back with you and that kind of thing. And that's kind of a privilege that I get to do because I'm not relying on it solely for income.
I love that distinction because I think it connects across many different things and not just social media collaborations, but it absolutely connects with the thing that I have said forever and ever amen long before I got back into pottery. Anytime ever anybody ever asked me like, if you could do it all over again, what would you do? How do you start? How does this work in terms of business and self-employment, which is like essentially keep a separate income. Like is
Hmm.
what you're saying. Like if you have another income, if you're not solely reliant on what you're making, the flexibility you have to make decisions differently, to pursue a creative idea just because you want to instead of like, will it sell? Will it won't sell? Can I do that right now because it's Q4 and it's holiday season and I have to make as many, garlic graters or mugs or whatever that I can because trees, because that's what's gonna sell. Like,
Yeah.
did I just give you like
I'm so
too soon?
tired of
Too
trees.
soon
I
to
love
make
my trees, but I'm so tired.
I was like, I didn't think about too
No,
soon. But you can make think of I mean, how many trees did you make this year?
75.
Okay. It's still a lot, but, I love you for that. If you were a full-time ceramicist, though, like, now I wanna, like, text Rebecca Graves, and I don't know if she made trees this year or not, but, like, a production potter and be like, "How many trees did you make this year?"
Yeah,
And my guess is there's gonna be a 0 behind that number.
probably
Like,
for sure.
I bet if we asked Isaac Shue in this moment, there's absolutely at least 1 0.
Yep,
Hopefully not 2
definitely.
for his sake. And that's just it's not a good or a bad, it's not a right or a wrong, it's just different. It's
Yep.
just the reality. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I think back to the question about if I seek out partnerships or if they find me, and I've thought about this a lot. I don't remember ever reaching out to someone to do a partnership. I hope I'm not misspeaking, but I can't remember doing it. There are a lot of times when I try something and then things kind of organically form. So that happens, but I've never really called someone up and said, "Hey, do you want to work together?" With the exception of Garrity Tools and I had already been working together for a year. And I was like, I have got to ask them if I can design a rib. Like it is on my bucket list to do. I have to shoot my shot. And I did. And so that I think is the only time that I've like asked. Other than that, though, a lot of it was, I mean, I worked without making any money off of Instagram for like 2 years or something like that. I should say direct money off of Instagram because it was selling pots. So, like,
Sure. You
you
were
know,
doing it the way I was doing social. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other piece. Not to reopen this because we have to keep moving on. But that's the other crazy piece to me about influencer side of things is like the amount of time it takes to get to an audience size that makes it viable. Like the years it takes. I mean, okay, I'm sure you could do it in some crazy faster way if you were doing nothing else other than
Sure.
posting at a frenetic pace or something like that. But let's just assume it's going to take at least a year, if not more. Because also, I think the same is true for Florian. Like when that started, that wasn't the plan, that wasn't the business model. It was just documenting things. That amount of time, what's wild to me now is the number of people starting out with the sole goal of building a business as an influencer, the amount of time it's going to take to get to a viable place in the traditional model in terms of pennies for YouTube clicks or whatever it is, the 38 cents that Instagram sent me last month. Obviously, I'm not trying to do any of this, but like
Yeah.
it's there. And that's at like 11,000 followers, which is not a small number. not an influencer number, but not small. But, like, it's wild to me, like, the years, the hours, the time to put into something that maybe you'll hit it. It's like gambling. That's what it
Yeah,
is.
for
It's
sure.
gambling. Because
Yeah,
if you
and
hit
I'm
it, you're gonna hit it big, maybe, but, like,
yeah, but it's also like I think part of it is, so this whole influencing in the context of what we're talking about is like reviewing products and promoting them and doing that kind of work. If you've already built your audience doing something else, I don't think your audience is going to take well to doing paid promotions like that. Because, at least for me, and this is again through my own lens of myself, other people may have a different view of things. I feel like I already was testing and reviewing products. I was just spending all of my own money to do it. But I was already doing all of that because it's so fun. I just really have a great time doing it.
and you were gonna do it for your students anyways, probably.
Oh, yeah. I
So
was
you just
always finding
recorded
new
it.
things.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I was doing all that already. So then when Clay King came in and asked, it just kind of made sense. My audience was already used to me talking about these things. That was already part of what I was known for. So these kinds of things worked together. Whereas, like, if you come in right off the bat trying to make money off of your audience, it's not going to work. At least I don't think it's going to work.
Not in maybe not in pottery. I am sure there's another, like, there's other worlds where I guess it could, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I put it in the same bucket as splicing out the negative, like, the hot take little snippets to get engagement to rile people up. I just, like,
Eh,
put it in that same bucket. It's not for me, which
yeah.
is probably gonna be ironic for somebody to hear because 'cause they're gonna be like, "You talk about the community at every episode, Rebecca. You're trying to make money off of us." And I'm like, "That's, for me, not the same."
I think it's like I don't know. It's hard. I don't wanna say it's a dishonest way
Mhm.
to, like, engagement bait is not I don't know. I don't know.
I
I'd have to think about the way to say all of this because I think we both I don't know, I have a lot of thoughts, but I don't know how to articulate them yet.
I know it's a slippery slope because we're both actively building businesses, earning, like, creating revenue from what we do on the internet. But I think also we were both already doing it before there was any revenue behind it,
Yes.
right? Like,
Yep.
the podcast existed for more than a year before I even put pen to paper for a course.
Yeah.
It continues to exist for free consumption. The idea of a membership didn't even come to my mind until a couple of years in when it was just like this reoccurring conversation with people and realizing, like, you know, uh, a one-on-one email with me, I'm happy to do, but how much more fruitful this conversation be in a group dynamic with
Mhm.
multiple inputs and multiple experiences, and, like, it is from a place of a desire to help, but we have to figure out how to make it sustainable. You can't put in the amount of resources and effort that we both want to always be doing to
Yeah.
make it as good as we know that it can be. You just can't do without, like,
Yeah.
I mean, the cost of the platform the community's hosted on alone would not, I can't just pay out of my pocket for. Like, it's just,
No, I mean, people want me to review kilns all the time,
I know.
and
I don't mean
I
to laugh at anyone. Like, that's not what I mean.
no, but it's like, I am a teacher, and
You also
yeah,
they don't exactly have a 30-day return policy. I mean, maybe they do, but, like, freight shipping is not like a
yeah.
$5 return shipping fee.
No, no, and, yeah, I mean, luckily, that opportunity did present itself once, so I have gotten to do a thorough kiln review one time, and hopefully that satisfied everyone, but there's
Mm,
stuff like that where you're like,
you
you do
definitely just
reach a
opened a
point.
Pandora's box with that one.
I mean, I loved working with L&L. We were best buds. Subtle plug for their plug and fire. Like, you do reach a point with some of it where it's like, if what you really want from me is to continue to test out tools, yeah, it's gotta be easier to do that more frequently when I'm making some kind of an income off of it. which is what happens through partnerships and sponsors and that kind of thing. So,
I also think, and I think we talked about this a little bit 2 years ago, but I'm sure it is, you know, all the more realistic now. There is this weird shift now with the proliferation of content on the internet of missing the time it takes to create it. Because also the ways in which it's created vary widely, right? Like you can do a podcast without any editing, without any kind of, I think Spotify, you can host stuff for free. Like there's a way to do it with basically you use whatever microphone that you have. You don't have to buy I don't have a fancy microphone. You don't have to buy a Yeti or anything. You open up a laptop, you start recording, you hit publish, and it's out in the world. And you can do that. There is nothing wrong with that. It's not what I feel confident doing. And
mhm,
like the way I want to present something. The way, and this is a want, this is a like comfort level for me, this is a confidence level for me, but like what I want to put out into the world is just a different production
mhm,
and then takes other time and takes other resources. And so I think the tricky thing with the internet now is like for the people that are putting that in, there has to be some way that we make it sustainable. And it's so much faster to consume the stuff that is free than it is to make it. And I'm losing my train of thought here now. I'm rambling too much. What I'm getting
no,
at
that
is
last
like,
line was so good.
okay. Well, what I was trying to get at, and I don't, and this is not a frequent thing. So I don't want anybody to think this is me like bemoaning anything whatsoever because it does not frequently happen to me where somebody's asking for more, 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 and I have to draw a boundary. But what does sometimes happen is the reverse, and I feel so seen and so appreciated because I get emails from other potters or from people listening or on Instagram that's like, "I'm sure this takes you so much time. Thank you so much." And it's just that little recognition, and that's not anybody who's bought a course or joined the community or done anything. All they've done is taken 30 seconds out of their day to say, like, "I see you. I see how much time this takes, even though I don't even know exactly how much time it takes, and thank you." And that just shifts everything in a totally different way than what typically happens online.
Mhm.
And again, I don't get negative stuff. Like, I don't get a lot of, like, more, more, more. So,
Right.
to be clear. But,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know.
yeah, I do get some more, but I also get people that are like, "You do so much more, are you okay?" So
Hi. It's
we
me.
have we have both going on there.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I think the thing that I've liked about the partnerships that I've done is like it's not costing anyone anything more to watch my videos. Like they're not, I take on partnerships where like it doesn't really impact the audience in any way, which I've always liked too. Cause I do then view it as like, like we were saying, you want more tool reviews, I can do more tool reviews. It's very great to partner with tool companies that can help me do that. So that's something that I've always like enjoyed about it is like I hope it's not taking away from anyone's experience with it because I don't think it should, you know? I don't know. I want to track back to a second you were talking about like your own confidence with the decisions that you make and your own confidence with the things that you do. And that's been something interesting to see from the blue bucket side of things because I obviously run all of that social media there. Some people will ask us, they're like, oh, I want to do a giveaway. Can I have one of your products? But it's someone who's never purchased anything from us or done anything with us. I have not approached brands in that way before. I don't think it's necessarily a bad way to do things. It's just different than my own level of comfort with what I do, if that makes sense. But it's been interesting because I don't even think I really knew that you could do that. Like, I don't know. Like, it never crossed my mind that you could ask people for that, if that makes sense. So that's been an interesting thing to see through that other job is like the way that other people go about it. I've had someone else who was like, they've bought our system, they've used our system, they've loved it. They're like, hey, do you guys ever do any kind of like partnership thing? And at that time, we were like so brand new and still we're working on it. We're like, we want to. You're awesome. Like, we love that you love it. We don't know how to do that yet. So we're still working out our own things there. But, I think that's another way to approach things where, again, it's like, I use a lot of products. I love them. I've not really approached companies and said, "Hey, do you have like a brand partnership thing?" But, like, I love that they did that because it did have us sit back and go, "We should totally be working on something like this for our own company?" So again, there's different approaches to it that I just never registered because we only have one brain. Not everything gets through it. So
You only have a few things going on to think about.
yeah.
This actually connects back to a larger conversation I feel like I've heard multiple times through the years, not any one person, but multiple people, in that, like, doing something you would do anyways, right? Doing something like what we were just saying a little bit ago of like what we've put out into the world years before anything money was ever attached to it, we would still be doing anyway. I love having these conversations. When things changed earlier this year with sponsorship and stuff for us, I didn't stop the podcast. I was always going to keep doing it. It's just we don't break even anymore. Oopsie. The math isn't mathing, but that's okay. And it connects to even deeper conversation. I remember talking to Camille on the very first episode of the podcast, which makes me slightly nervous to tell people about because Lord knows how bad of an interviewer I was or how bad the editing is. But if you go back, just listen with a kind heart, please and thank you. Making what you want to make, and then if you want to sell it, figuring out the audience later. But the same is true in terms of, like, if you are looking to play the social media game, like, doing what you're gonna do anyway, and then with time, things will organically grow from there. Or maybe you will think of an idea of, like, "Oh, I'm trying to think of, like Bill working with Speedball." It's like, well, he's been using those glazes for ages before anything ever happened because he genuinely liked that. Like, you can also tell the difference of when somebody is talking to you about something they genuinely enjoy as opposed to, like, I'm trying to sell you this thing. But I think all of these things connect as terribly as I am of drawing this through line in terms of, like, making what you want to make, period, and then figuring out how to talk about it and selling it later applies to the ceramics we make, applies to the content, applies to all of it.
It's so hard to figure out what you wanna do. There are so many different things. There are so many different options. There's so many different ways to do the same thing. I think this is what I love about having a podcast from 2023 versus now we're entering 2026, you know? I I am the same person and my goals have shifted entirely. Because the whole thing is like we're constantly changing, we're constantly growing, and just really figuring out who are you and what do you want to do. I am sure if we do this interview again in like 3 years, I'll probably have different goals as well, and maybe a fifth job. Who knows at this point?
Hello, it'll be us
Oh,
together at that point.
6. You're right.
Right.
Yeah.
I was saying that was
But
the 5th. I wasn't suggesting you add more.
no, no, no. That's the fifth. Then we'll add a bonus one on top of that.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean,
Um,
the 2 of us together for that much time, it's bound to happen.
yeah. But I think this is where I get nervous when I hear people, and I do have people, tell me they're like, I want to get into Instagram because I want to review products and do brand things. And like I think what makes me nervous is like it's hard for me to give advice that way because that just isn't how I approached it. I entered it because I like testing things, because I like talking about pottery way more than your average person. And so it entered because like that's just what I like to do. And then the money came later. And I think flipping it, I just don't know how to do that. So I get nervous when people ask me, and that's the approach that they want to take because I just don't know how to do that. I mean, really, when I started doing Instagram, I didn't know you could make any money off of it at all.
Well, at the time, I don't think you could.
No, I think you could use it as a tool to make money off of other things.
Like, in the sense that I was talking about before in terms of the top of the marketing funnel, and you're driving people to buy the pottery that you make or,
Right.
whatever else. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you could make it any other ways. So it's tricky for me to try to give people advice when that's the approach that they want to take because it just is not my experience. And like I said, I really have tried to be good about staying in my own lane and realizing, what my experience is and I can articulate that hopefully well. But like I can't really give advice in that direction because I just don't know. I just don't know how that works.
I need to back up just a little bit. You said if we do another interview in 3 years, and I feel like the appropriate word is when. I'm just
Yes.
maybe
I
by
really
then, it'll be in person.
Ooh, that'd be fun. I think what's funny too is I view these less of interviews and more of like, we're gonna go have a chat that happens to be recorded. Because like
That was
that
always
really
the
is
intent.
yeah. Yeah, that's always how this works. Because like, you and I feel like we could go back and forth for a very long time. And it's always fun because I feel like I don't have to prepare for these either. Like we're just gonna chat.
That was always the intent, so that makes me very, very happy. It's also really hard to describe if it's someone who I don't already have a relationship
Mm,
with,
yeah.
because the expectation is I'm gonna send a list of questions ahead of time so that there is prep, and I'm like, I can if you want me to, but that's not how this is gonna go."
Right. Yeah. Because you're gonna say something, I'm gonna be like, yes, and then I'm gonna say something and you're gonna be like, yes, and
It's kind of an informal improv class when you put it that way.
and that is what education is. See, it's all the same.
That if that wasn't a well-wrapped little bow right there, I don't know what else is.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, I think we got all of the questions that were submitted, which was my first and foremost focus because I knew otherwise I was going to get absolutely taken away
Mhm.
and forget things and then feel really bad about it. So, dare I ask this very open-ended question when I have used a large portion of your very precious break from school? We started with what hasn't changed. We went to what has changed. Is there something that we didn't actually talk about in either of those camps that you wish people knew?
Mm, that's a great question. Hmm. I don't know. We've covered so many things that it's tricky,
I
right?
always feel like I get stuck on social media with you, which, like, obviously, zero surprises, but you are a whole human. So,
Yeah. I appreciate that your acknowledgement of my whole humanness. No, I mean, I feel like we've covered a lot of ground. We've probably covered even more ground than people thought we could cover because that's just what we do. I guess since we've talked about this being a thing that we do think we should do every couple of years, my note to future self for the next time that we do this is, I am just so excited to see what I will learn in the next 2 years, because I feel like from 2023 to now, I have learned so much. Lessons that I didn't know that I needed to learn, lessons that I didn't know could be learned, and I think that's one of the fun things too about social media. We've talked about cons for sure, but that is one of the fun things is getting to document change. Or I guess you're documenting where you are now and then you see the change later on, looking back. So yeah, I think, listening to my 2023 interview, I cringed a little bit. I'm sure I'm gonna cringe listening to this one, years down the line, but it's just so fun. It's fun to see change. I'm glad I'm not doing the same thing. I'm glad I have different goals now than I did then, you know?
I'm so impressed that you went back and listened because, contrary to popular belief, the number of people who are like, I would love to do a podcast, but I hate the sound of my own voice. Or I would, if I asked them to be interviewed and they would be like, oh, that's so sweet, but I hate the sound of my own voice. So do I. Like,
Mhm.
it is a scientifically proven thing. We all do. And so I cannot go back to all of them and re listen because
Yeah.
no, I just
I
can't.
don't. I usually don't because we've talked about this in the past. Just like, with the nature of what I do, I'm editing a video, I can go back and redo the audio 6 times. It doesn't matter. These are not really that way. So
A little
once it's out
longer.
on the podcast, it's done. I can't listen to it because I will want to go back and edit and I can't. So
Yep. I don't know the timing of when this is gonna come out versus when an episode I was interviewed in was gonna come out, but I would just like to acknowledge for anyone I have interviewed who is listening, I reminded myself of the, like, depth of guttural, discomfort and slight fear when you stop recording and you walk away and you're like, "Oh my god, what did I just say?" And
oh, always.
like, because I will have an episode on Between Two Ewers? I hope I said that word right. With Mike Griffin. He's got a YouTube podcast going on, and it's also oh god, I don't even wanna say it out loud because part of me is like, I really wanna redo the whole thing, I promise that I know how to throw. Like, I need that to be out in the world, and I realize I'm just saying it, and what people are gonna see visually are not gonna line up with the words, but there is something for me. There is a disconnect. I am not actively teaching pottery, right? Like, I can take photos and talk at the same time and teach, and that is fine. It is a learned skill. But the ethos of Mike's show is to make and talk at the same time. And we talked for like an hour and a half, and I made 3 bud faces. And I say bud faces with that tone because those are not difficult. Like, also, why did I think I was going to make something brand new while I was being recorded? Number 1, foolish. Number 2, I've been throwing with a different clay for months. So why did I think I was going to go back to a different clay while I was being recorded? Like, my own choices were made, which were foolish, and I should have known better as the host of a podcast.
It's yeah, you know, yeah. It's a tricky skill set to make and talk at the same time.
It
Yeah.
is. Yeah. And I'm just like, oh my God, I feel like the pottery world is going to watch this now and be like, she's been lying to us this whole time.
Mhm.
So I'll just own up to that. And maybe now I'll need to make a point of getting this out into the world faster than he gets.
I think the good news is, I think anybody who has ever tried to talk and throw should know exactly what's happening. Like, I really think unless you're someone who has only ever thrown in, like, a quiet space by yourself, I think everybody's gonna get it.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. Yeah. Well, it's just, I mean, I have the same problem just when I try to record myself. Why do you think there's not that any recordings of me throwing on the socials? Like, because I'm so aware of of there being a camera, of there being something else, that I'm not focused on what I'm doing. And I make
See, I would say,
stupid mistakes.
yeah, no, with my line of jobs, it's rare that I'm throwing and not having anyone watching. Like,
That's like,
that's the odd time for me when there's not a camera or a person.
mhm. But like practice skill, hats off to you because, dear Lord.
I can only focus on talking. That's like for our level of like for this kind of a podcast when we're deep diving things, I'm like, I don't know that I could make it and talk.
Well, looks like I just got Mike another interview.
Oh no. No, we'll just have non-Potter husband make in the background while I talk.
Perfect. I mean,
Done.
everybody thinks your hands are the same anyway, so it's fine.
Oh, that poor guy got bullied for his hands. So sad.
He did know it was going to happen, though,
He
so at
did.
least he was
He did.
prepared.
And then he threw on a set of acrylics and called it a day. So
God, we love him for it. We love
he is
him
the
for it so
backbone I
much.
need. Yeah.
Which also reminds me, we ended the last episodes this way. I'm going to do it again. I think we should probably do an interview with him and lean fully into his anonymous state with like a interview style, the screens on crime television, like real
That's
crime
it.
shows.
Yeah.
We'll do the screen, we'll do the altered voice, we'll do the whole thing.
Mhm. I'm here for it. We're gonna have some good practice because he's got some Nsika stuff that he potentially will be doing. So we got to figure out a way to do like a whole undercover thing.
All right. My brain immediately went to a hilarious version of that, which would just be like Groucho Marx glasses and mustache and not even try, like pretend to be trying, but not be trying, which would be very much in alignment with him.
Yeah, I'm in the same avenue, but I went Hannah Montana. It was like he's got like the Miley off screen and then the Hannah, and everyone's like, whoa, away, different person. That's where I went.
I mean, that tracks.
Yeah, it makes sense. It does.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. This feels like a silly thing to ask you, but where do you want to send people on the internet?
Nowhere. Get off the internet. No, I'm kidding. You can find me everywhere. Yeah, but also it's good for you. You can find me everywhere at Lemansky Studios. I do all of the things now. Instagram is my primary, but you'll find me on TikTok. I'm trying to get better at that. YouTube, I'm trying to get better at that. And everywhere else.
We can take notes on YouTube. I promise I haven't given up on it, but we've got to recalibrate and come back to it. Whew, it's a beast. Man. Awesome.
Yeah. We need a collaborative interview with someone who's really good at YouTube, because I want to just pick their brain.
I mean, I did have Jamar Diggs on, who's not a potter, but he's a YouTube specialist, and he's great, and he's very low lift approach to it. But I think what it comes down to is we have to accept the low lift, and we both know how good we're both at that.
I know what you're talking about. We're great.
All right. Thank you. Oh, I can't wait to hug you.
Yeah, me too. And for the people listening, if you made it this long, thank you.
I hope this conversation has given you permission to build your creative career in a way that actually serves you, not in a way that may or may not look good on paper, or even in a way that matches what everyone else seems to be doing, even if they seem to be successful. Because here's the thing. If you've been feeling guilty about not going full time with the thing that you feel really well known for, at least on the internet, it's okay to realize that that's not actually your goal. If you've been turning down opportunities and wondering if you're making a mistake, it's okay to trust that saying no to work that doesn't serve you or feel like it aligns is actually the whole point of having options. If you've been worried that juggling multiple jobs means that you're somehow less successful or none of them are successful, quote unquote, it's okay to recognize that you might have intentionally built things this way because that's what gives you the freedom to make choices based on what you want rather than what you need or maybe even have to do for financial reasons or otherwise. Now, before we keep going here, I want to mention that there is a lot of advice out there that talks about multiple income streams. And while, yes, you could listen to these last 2 episodes of me chatting with Hope and take away a reinforcement of the advice about multiple income streams. But I hope, pun not intended, that it's not entirely what you take away. Because trying to build too many things at once can also lead you straight into burnout. Ask me how I know. So I want to make it clear that Hope did not start all 4 of her jobs she now has at once. She didn't even start 3 of them, or quite frankly, 2 of them all at one time. She started with making the work she loved to make. And then that naturally led to teaching after college. And then once teaching got into a groove there, she started with social media, or put more appropriately, teaching went virtual because of COVID, and then social media naturally grew out of that. It was kind of easy to take what was being recorded for school and then share it in a slightly different way. And only just recently, when all of that was already in a groove, in a routine, something that felt relatively, I'm going to use the word easy, loosely, not literally, but just was kind of fluid. She was used to it. Only recently did she add this 4th venture of Blue Bucket Tools, and as she pointed out, she's not doing that all by herself. So yes, there is value to multiple income streams. Many of the benefits we've heard from Hope about in this interview, but also a gentle word of caution as to how you approach going about growing multiple income streams. We want to be strategic because, as a business coach once pointed out to me, trying to keep pushing 5 different rocks up a hill is a very quick way of having 5 rocks roll down a hill. But if you focus just on one, pushing it up to the top will still be hard work, but it will be possible. Now, I could keep rambling on that metaphor and on the subject of multiple income streams in general, and I'm supposed to be wrapping up this episode. So if that's of interest to you, if you want to hear more about multiple income streams, then send me a message on Instagram at The Maker's Playbook, or shoot me an email, hello@makers-playbook.com, or if you're watching this on YouTube, just leave a comment in the episode you're watching it on. I would be happy to prepare a solo episode to dive deeper into this conversation or interview other makers who have multiple income streams going on. But for now, I will just say, take this as a yes, but kind of statement. Or to put it another way, as my community members are more prone to hearing me say or type, yes, but it depends. As always, if you're working through these questions about what your creative business should or can or you want to actually look like, there's a whole group of makers having these exact conversations inside of the community right now. Some are building multiple income streams like Hope, some are working towards going full time, and some have decided that their creative practice is exactly where it should be as a side passion project. If you want to join other makers who understand that there is no one right way to do this, but who actually want deep, nuanced conversations and to get to know you and help you walk through a question or a decision because they know what's going on around all of the decisions you have to make for yourself. I'm rambling again. The point is, come visit makersplaybook.com/community to learn more about what's going on in there. One more time, since your hands are probably covered in clay, it's makersplaybook.com/community. Until next time, my friends, go get back to making your dreams a reality, because together, we've got this. Audio post-production of this podcast is made possible by help from Christy Kotzfan, with promotional material assistance from Queenie Maliki. The Maker's Playbook podcast is recorded on the original homelands of the Potawatomi, Ho-Chunk, and Menominee people, where the people of Wisconsin's sovereign Anishinaabe, Ho-Chunk, Menominee, Oneida, and Mohican nations remain present.